All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and we're going over a Bootstrap website that we're creating from scratch as part of the Rankin Technical College Summer Adventure Academy website design. And in the last example, I created this, which was our Hello World, so that was our start. And I'm going to now take everything that's in this Part 1 folder, copy it to the clipboard, go into my Part 2, and paste it in. All right, so now if I looks exactly the same. All right, so the first thing I want to do is come in here, and the only file I'm going to have to change here is going to be the index file. The first thing I want to do is come in and change this to Part 2. All right, so now you'll notice that when I run this, there was Part 1 and there's Part 2. Right now they look alike, but we're about to change that. All right, so the first thing is, in my Hello World, I do not need my body. I do not need that Hello World. All right. So I'm going to add, I don't know, probably somewhere around 15 or 20 lines of code in here. All right. We're working with Bootstrap. There's not really the time to go through everything that Bootstrap is about. Okay. But it is a system that uses a lot of built-in cascading style sheets or CSS functionality that it's already created for you. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say div class equal, and I want to create this navigation bar, which is called a nav bar. So I'm going to add the built-in nav bar. I'm going to say nav bar default. I want a default looking nav bar, and I want it to be fixed at the top of the screen. And what that literally means is I want that, I don't want it to move. I want it to stay up there always. I don't know if I run it now. All it's showing me is that you can kind of see it's a gray. And if you say, well, I can't see that. If instead of default, I made it inverse, and I'm going to change it back. But if I typed in just inverse right here, now you can really see it. All right. I don't want to use that. I want to use my own coloring, and we'll do that a lot later. So we're going to use the default. Another thing that it's highly suggested that you do is you put in here role equals, R-O-L-E. And I'm going to put in here role equals navigation. This is done for people who are visually impaired that are using screen readers. It lets them know literally that this is working with navigation. All right, inside of here, I'm going to have, in fact, I'm going to do this. Every time I go in and I add here, every time I go in and I add a div, when I'm ending the div, I'm going to put a comment that says that div is ending. All right, well, it's time to add another div. And now the class is going to be equal to container. And what you'll notice if you do enough work in Bootstrap is much of the stuff that's done in Bootstrap involves working in containers. This doesn't make the program run any better, but it lets me line things up and see what goes with what. So that's my container, and here might be a surprise for you. Inside of that div, I'm going to put another div. So what does this do? I don't think it's going to look any different than it previously looked. See? Again, if I did the inverse on it, it would then look blackened. And I'm not going to do that. Okay, so in my container, now I'm going to start putting in stuff. Div class equal navbar header. This is going to be our header class. All right. You don't have to line everything up like little soldiers like I've done. I'm a little anal that way. So to me, it makes more sense to do that, and that's why I'm doing it. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is say button, type equal button. class equal navbar toggle, data toggle equal collapse, data target equal dot navbar collapse. One of the hallmarks of being able to use Bootstrap is that it's responsive from the beginning. So it adapts to any size medium that you're using. Now, again, I don't know if this is going to look any different. All right, notice this, that when I make this smaller, okay, this nav bar, watch how it changes as we continue to build it, if you would, please. All right. Now, one of the things that I mentioned earlier to you was we had to account for people who are visually impaired that are using screen readers. So I'm going to put in here span, class equal SR only. So that's people who are using screen readers. All right. So people who are using screen readers, we're going to have words in there that the screen reader can pick up that says toggle navigation. That's not going to show on our screen because we're not using a screen reader. Okay? All right. Now this is going to look a little strange, but bear with me. Because I'm going to take this thing that I just put in here, and I'm going to put it in there 3 times. Let me line it up. All right, so what did that do? Well, I'd like to show you, and I'm hoping that it's going to show when I run this. Okay? That's what it did. Those 3 things that you see right there, those are the icon bars. This won't make a lot of sense until later on when we put a few more things in there, but you're going to notice them quite quickly. All right? So far we've put in our header stuff. But the header's empty. There's really nothing in there. So how about if we come in there and start to put some stuff in? Well, when you want to put stuff in, you put it in what's called the navbar brand. Okay, that's the class. Our href is where do we want it to go when we click on it. We don't want it to go anywhere, so we're just going to put in a hashtag. And we'll put in here Rankin Technical College. All right. Still not a lot in there, but what you're going to see is when I do this now, well, that's interesting. I thought it was going to say Rankin in there, and it does not. Class equal navbar brand. And our div. Well, let's just keep going on. All right. Under our header, okay, we're going to put our navigation menu. So we're going to have another div here. Of course we are, right? And that div is going to be class equal navbar collapse. This is actually two classes here. The navbar collapse class and the collapse class. You need to put these in if you want your site to be responsive, mobily responsive. All right. Again, hopefully when I get done with this, it's going to look a little bit nicer. And we're going to put this into an unordered list, a UL. And the class on that is going to be equal to navbar, and a navbar right. We're going to right justify it. All right. And I'm just going to put a very simple comment here that says end UL. All right. And now I'm going to put in my unordered list. It'll be a very simplistic unordered list. Not that simplistic. It'll have 3 items in it. The first one will be our active class. What does that mean? You're going to see it in just a minute. Again, not required that I put in as much of this stuff here as I'm putting in. Rather, I'm putting it in so hopefully it makes a little bit more sense to you as far as you can see how I'm laying all this out. Oops, that's interesting. Our second page that we create will be about.html. Okay, right now it's not created, so we could have just put a hashtag there, but I'm going to put it in there like this anyway. And the third one that we create is going to be our contact page. So this won't go anywhere because we're going to build that contact form right there. Now, moment of truth and see if I fix this. There's my home, my about, and my contact. That's what I want. This is dark gray because I made the class active, but I'm still not getting my brand. So something is goofed up here in what's in here. All right, A class equal navbar brand. href equals hashtag. It all looks correct. Somehow my brand has been goofed up. I don't know what it is. I'm going to try to fix that, but as you can see, right now, it's coming to be. I got to just put my thing up here. That's all, and I'll fix that and come back with that in just a couple minutes. But before I do, I'm going to, what I'm going to do when I get done, and I'll show you that in a minute after I fix this, is I'm going to take everything that's in version 2 of this and copy it over so it is in version 3. All right. Now in version 3, we're going to add a little bit more stuff in here, okay? And much of it will be cosmetic from what we've just done. So I'll be back with that in just a couple minutes.